Hello, AP English Language and Composition students. Our lesson for today is two-part. The first part will involve my pointing out surface errors, mechanics errors in spelling, wording, some grammar, so that when you write, you can avoid these errors. So, I would advise you paying close attention and hopefully taking a few notes. Then, I might move to another video if I run out of the 15-minute time, but I will be moving on as soon as I finish and looking at just two essays for their errors, moving on to explain how to construct a cause and effect explanation, how a technique creates a certain effect and also for a certain purpose. We're having trouble with those, and so we're going to work on that. So, starting off with just surface errors here in this essay from several years ago. When you write, don't be wordy. You must avoid wordiness, even in the small senses. We have this introduction. We do not need that word in that word. Francis Bacon's letter focuses. So, keep in mind that there will be a title usually that you will put in quotes or underline. And you have to have the author, you have to have the title, and then go to a strong verb. So, Roger Ascham's account reveals, something like that, the other account that you wrote about the wind. Roger Ascham's letter or passage reveals that in that respect. So let's move on here to another error. So this writer was quoting, you must include excerpts, you must include them, but they should be phrases or subordinate clauses, hopefully only. Keep your excerpts pared down. We do need to know the context of what's going on sometimes. We do need to know that, but you have to make a judgment call. You just don't want long excerpts. Never, if it's a phrase or a subordinate clause, you probably will not use any comma to introduce it. So, but you do need wording to introduce it. And here we're missing some words. So let's look. Bacon degrades himself in this letter to show the king how high up he, the king, is. We just need a word like stating or contending or flattering with the words so on. I could put in here flattering him with the words, and that would be enough to set this up, but it's missing. Right? So, when you do end an excerpt, if you end it by continue the sentence on, the comma goes inside the quotes. If you're ending the sentence there, the period goes inside the quotes. Commas and periods go inside the quotes, other punctuation, semicolons, question marks. If they're not part of the excerpt, they go outside the quotes. Pet peeve of mine, he's following up this excerpt with some explanation, which is what you're supposed to do. But he writes, through this letter Bacon portrays. Well, okay. If he were referring back to this excerpt and he just referred to the excerpt as this, you would need to put a little descriptor after this. Through this flattery, or sum it up. That's a little different here, though. So we're moving down to the next error. He used ellipsis here, which is good. We don't need to have the whole excerpt. Ellipsis is ... You never need to have the ... indicating words were taken out at the very beginning of your excerpt or at the end. You do not need it. All right? You only need it if you take words out of the middle. It doesn't matter that your excerpt is extracted from a text and we don't know what came before. You don't use ellipsis for that. Well, I just wanted him to put a comma here, so I put that in for him, and the sentence goes on, right? Well, let's look at his wording right here. Alliteration is used to show Bacon's misery. Alliteration accentuates Bacon's misery. Let's not have so many words. You could almost always avoid use, used, avoid it. Avoid it. If you have it in your writing, it's superfluous, it's unnecessary, it's extra, you don't need it. So, strong verb. Alliteration accentuates Bacon's misery in prison. And again, he doesn't introduce his excerpt. Expressed through the pleading M alliteration, such as, then go into it. Bacon's misery in prison, using M alliteration to heighten his misery with the following example, colon, that you can use a colon to set up an excerpt too. And it was very good, he used ellipsis and took out all the other words, right? So one more time, I think you need a little explanation here. Alliteration accentuates Bacon's misery in prison, the M alliteration heightening the misery as revealed in the following example. It's a little wordy, but you need some words here to lead up to this. Now, some people do have troubles after they end an excerpt. Now he's starting his own wording. He has to start a new sentence. You don't always have to start a new sentence. You could continue on. But he's starting a new idea. So we want a period and then the final quotes, and then we want a new start with a cap. By doing this, Bacon is trying. We don't need by doing this. Bacon is trying to get. We don't even need Bacon is trying to get. Bacon hopes the king will show mercy on him and free him. That's it. We get that it's connected, that commentary is connected to this. We don't need by doing this. Bacon is trying to. Too wordy. Right? Let's look a little more at this. He wrote, the wittiness of Bacon in this letter is incredible. Flattery, all alone without any substantial example that's a part of it. We don't want it. Right? If you're not analyzing, you're just adding in extra words. Don't do it. And also, don't use the person's first name all alone. You can't write Francis, which is what he did here. You can write Bacon. You can use the last name all alone or the whole name, Francis Bacon. But you can't just put Francis. All right. Bacon connects the king to God wittily, showing his power with the with God-related words such as, with spiritually oriented words such as. That would work here. Look at, again, just as he did in the first sentence, he is too wordy. By referencing, it shows. Referencing the Lamb's Book of Life shows. Right? Be careful. You've got to step up. The standards are higher for the AP essays. So let's look at the end here. Overall, this letter is showing that Bacon really heightens the king's power. He's summing up, but we can understand that he's summing up without him saying he's summing up. Bacon heightens the king's power, hoping that he will be released from his misery. What I ask my students to do, when I have more time to talk and explain, is start with a topic sentence in your paragraph, one sentence that is summarizing the whole point of the paragraph. You support through the paragraph, but you still end with a clarifying sentence. So that is what he's doing here. Hopefully a meaningful one, not just repeating the idea at the beginning, but What does one find out from reading that paragraph? What is the new idea that comes through more clearly that couldn't be stated in one sentence at the beginning? Clarify that. What was the most successful technique, probably, of Bacon, seemingly? Then you could refer to that. All right, let's look at, I think we have a little bit of time in our 15-minute slot. Let's look at one more. All right, so this is from this year, actually, but this is on the Asham passage, the wind. When you have a coordinating conjunction and it's linking two independent clauses, you need a comma with it, or that is technically a run-on. I put RO here, that means run-on. She's missing this comma here. And run-ons, run-ons remind us, all right, so let's look at our wording a little bit. His use of syntax includes long sentences and run-ons. Oh, here's where, this is actually, in this case, you need a period and then start here. This is to remind us how an overall flow like this, the wind movement in the wind, just very awkward wording. I don't think I can fix that right now, so let's move on. He also uses many pauses, period, capitalize, we have a new idea, this suggests. It's an agreement error, like subject-verb agreement. This should end in an S in the third person, the verb. This suggests the feeling. Okay, let's move on. Lots of run-on, so let's look at one more. Anaphora is used by the words sometimes. This indicates. I would reword that. Anaphora involving the word sometimes indicates, and then go on. It's just very wordy. See? That's unnecessary again. We want no contractions in our writing. No contractions are allowed. It is, right? This is a contraction. She forgot to put the apostrophe, but write it out. It is. When we have a compound adjective, we need a hyphen, non-stopped, modifying a noun, right? Non-stopped topic. Okay. If we have a minute or more, let's see what I can do with this. The word "and" also functions like sometimes, beginning several sentences. Showing, don't have choppy sentences. Creating a non-stopped effect like the wind. Something like that. Okay? And repetition functions like sometimes to create a non-stopped effect like a continually flowing wind. I'm getting better each time. So, on our first video, it was just mechanics. We're going to move to another video on how to improve cause-effect technique explanations. Thank you.